Hi everyone, this is Laura and welcome to my crazy psychic stories. Crazy stuff that I go through on a weekly basis. I'm sharing it. And I did get comments from people off of here about the movie theaters, and some people that are sensitive is that they really do have to be careful what they watch because they tune in. And so thank you for sharing that with me. Now let's get on to today's topics, the stories. I do have a departed animal and aliens. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the departed animal. Now, this is what happens often for sensitive people, or if your medium abilities are strong. This is the story. I was scrolling on Facebook, just catching up, seeing what my friends and family are doing. And then I saw that one of my friends' dogs had passed away. And then I just kind of said, something like, I'm sending prayers and positive energy to you. I feel like it's better to say, I'm sending love, hugs, prayers to you versus I'm so sorry for your loss. I feel like it's better to focus on sending something positive than just, okay, it's a crappy situation that happened to you. But I think people don't know any better. They don't know what else to say. And so with our story begins, the person that I commented on, she messaged me and thanked me for the message. And then all of a sudden, I felt her pet come in. Her pet started talking to me, giving me stuff. So I just was like, okay, let's roll with it, because I know she'll be okay. Like, I wouldn't always do that with people, because some people, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to know. And also sometimes people have a hard time believing that type of stuff is possible, So I'll say the name Bella. So Bella came through and showed me that her legs were working good and that she was running around and all this, like being very active. And then she told me that she was protecting her owner, or her pet parent. She was protecting her and being there for her. And I did get a message, I think was from her guardian angels or something, saying, please help the person to say it's okay for the pet to move on. Now, I'll just stop there and say, during mediumship readings, especially if it's for pets, this can come up a lot, that the pet does not want to leave the owner. And a lot of times, some people can see all these pets around people as they're walking around because their energy is still with them. And what I've seen is that the angels can have them and then take them up and down to visit a lot. I that's what I've seen. And then the next part of the story is she's like, yeah, she wasn't able to move around. She had mobility issues, like stuff like that. Tell me about what was going on with her. And then the next thing that came up is I got a message, like I said, she kept showing me her legs, that her legs are working now, okay? And then the pet parent came back and said, yeah, she was dragging her legs, or like her back legs, something like that. And it was really nice that I wasn't planning on doing this, but sometimes this type of stuff just happens, And the pet parent was grateful for the messages, very kind and gracious, and she did say, I did tell my pet that it was okay to move on. I do get a feeling, though, that Bella is going to be visiting a lot. What I've seen, okay, it may be different for everybody, okay, but what I've seen is that they go to this place where there's all these other domestic animals. They're not with wild animals or wild dogs or cats. They're with other animals, and they're having fun. But then they miss their owners a lot, their pet parents, and then they come back down and visit and be there. And what I get is that when a medium or someone sees all these pets around the people, around a person, it's like an energetic footprint or like an echo of who is a part of their life. Okay. And, sometimes I've seen that with, this is a story that I've shared in the weekly forecast. So I'm going to piggyback off of what I'm talking about and go into the next story. This is also about pets. I do dog walking, pet sitting, overnight, stuff like that, and also for other types of cats, cats and other animals. Well, this one in particular, I was going to this little dog's house like I want to say 2 or 3 times a week. And it was a cute little baby, and I would take him out for a walk and things like that. I think he was a Yorkie, but I'm not positive. And what happened is when I was not there, they took the dog for a walk, and somebody's stray dog ran up and bit the dog and killed him. And I was very, very upset, because dogs can be like little rays of sunshine, and you go and they're pockets of happiness, and it's like you get all these pets. Okay, it's not just the owners, you get all these pets too. They're like your second family. And well, what happened is they took some time to grieve, but then they bought the sister, his sister, the dog's sister. And I went in there and I started crying. I couldn't help it. And they had cameras in their home. Obviously, they're like, Laurie is upset and she's crying over our dog that passed. I know the whole family was upset, but I think it was a little bit too soon to bring in another dog that looked almost identical to the pet that passed. But anyway, I was kind of crying and stuff, and I did take her out for a walk, did everything I was supposed to do, and then I was playing with her and petting her a little, and then I saw an angel holding the original pet that passed, holding him. And I saw that, and it was so heartwarming, and I just, all of a sudden, all the tears and everything left. And I knew, I was just like, okay, I got to see him. He was okay. One thing I will say is that because of, as we get older, and if we look at computer screens and stuff like that, that can kind of kill. If somebody is where they can see things in the physical world like I can, over a period of time, I noticed that sometimes my vision is not quite, like I'm not seeing everything, or I see half of a image. Because when my guinea pigs passed, there was a similar thing where I saw the angels in the wall holding him. But it was like if I would not have looked at the right angle, I wouldn't have seen that, And I have departed relatives have visited me before, and they kind of just drop in. And one of them was standing on the desk, and she was standing there for a while. I guess she wanted to visit me for me to know she was there, but I did not notice until she was leaving. So yeah, and that was like she just dropped down and was standing on my desk, and I didn't know, and she was there for a while, and then I caught it out of the corner of my eye. So I'm doing stuff to kind of help my eyes to regenerate and things like that. And people have asked me, like, how can I see things in my physical world? I always tell them to sit in front of a white wall and just kind of stare at the white wall. And then if you do it and you don't blink as much, it looks like the room starts moving. You could see colors, whatever. Then you could say, I ask my guardian angels to step into my field of vision where I can see them. And so if you do this enough and you practice and practice, and eventually you may see them come in, or colors or orbs or things like that. Like a lot of time for Archangel Michael, I'll see orbs. All right, now our next subject, guys, this one may freak people out: aliens. And some people may believe in it, some don't, but it's like you don't believe it. I feel like people don't believe it until they have an experience. Now, I was on a trip, my family and friends will go on these roller coaster trips. We'll do all these things all over. We were in California heading to SeaWorld. And I was just sitting in the car and facing the window looking out at the countryside, okay? There was just like palm trees, and it kind of looked a little bit like a desert or whatever. And then all of a sudden I saw the ship, and the ship was in the clouds. And I took a bunch of photos of it. And what was happening was it was like like a lightning bolt from the ship was touching an electric out, like, you know, like the old telephone poles. It was touching it and kind of feeding off of it or something. I do have one photo. Okay, guys, I'll put some of the photos that I have at the end of this video. Like some of the other ones got deleted, but I have one main one where you're like, okay, that's really weird. So I'll put that at the end here. And I'll just say now this one is recent. I'm sharing this. I hope she's okay with it, but I'm not giving away anything. It's just kind of what I felt. So in a couple readings, people have asked to speak to certain groups of aliens, and I'm just like, well, you know, I've channeled ascended masters. People from history have come up to me. I've experienced some weird stuff I can't explain, okay, besides the angels and all that. Okay, so I was like, all right, let's give it a shot, see what they have to say. And and it was the Arcturians. Now, some people with these types of races, you could think they're good or bad or whatever. I'm kind of skeptical of everything until I feel like their energy feels good to me, and then I'll allow them in, you know, okay? And I'll work with them. But, okay, so what happened is I channeled these really detailed messages, and it was really, really interesting what I got. And so I started to feel their energy, and before I did this reading, they were starting to visit me. So sometimes that'll happen with departed people or animals. I could see, okay, somebody's visiting me, I'm dreaming about them, something's going to happen. And what happened is, if you look at the race, the Arcturians, okay, they have this certain shape of their heads and their body. Well, they were coming to me camouflaged. Like they, you know, like a robber that wears a mask and they're all in black and that. They were covering themselves. And I saw them like I would see something come by me. I was like, angels, what is that? Is that a giant ant? What the hell is a giant ant coming by me for? And it didn't talk to me or anything. I just felt this presence. I felt the energy. And the energy, it didn't feel good, didn't feel bad. It was just, With angels and that, I could feel like all this positive light and all that. So that's how I can tell if something negative or positive is around me, because I feel it, okay? And one time I was driving with my son, and I talked about them, and it was like, whoop, and it just dropped down behind me in the car, and I'm like, one of the Arcturians are here. But I feel like maybe he was camouflaged, because if I saw him, I might freak out. Because I often ask my angels to keep everything away from me, that I only want to interact with them or higher forces that I know I can trust, okay? So maybe that's why he was camouflaging himself. But yeah, it was kind of crazy. And over the period of years of doing readings, people ask me to channel alien forces. And I've seen one where like this little green alien, I had my angels all around me. Like sometimes they form a protective circle and I'm in the center, and this one little alien kept trying to peek through them to get to me. And I'm like, okay, what the heck is that? But I always say, I feel like alien forces can be a rabbit hole. And so a rabbit hole means you start investigating them, then you're into all the races and all this, and then stuff, it may eventually lead to something unsavory messing with you. So that's kind of why I tell people, be careful with that stuff. Don't dive in too deep. But anyway, that was my latest episode with aliens. And, you know, I feel like I'll do a reading once for someone that wants to connect with aliens, but I don't want to do it every day. I've also had where one person, she was specifically really connected to an alien race that she did not like or want anything to do with. And they kept coming around her, and every time I read for her, I would see them. And then they would try to get into my space. And I didn't know if they were good or bad or what, but I didn't want them in my space. So I ended up having to turn her down and not do any more readings with her because of that. So yeah, I've had some weird adventures. Let me think of anything else. Now, okay, this is an alien race that made itself known to me. You know, like the archangels if you're an angel reader, stuff like that, you start to connect with your guardian angels and everybody, and then they want to work with you, and they're like, oh, they'll say their name, like Uriel. So that's how I started working with Uriel. Oh, I heard this other angel's name, they want me to work with them now. So then I would start learning about them. Well, this alien race is the Pleiadians, and from what I understand, they look human, or they appear human, and they have white hair, stuff like that. It could be different, like I feel like people get stereotypes of what they should look like, and they could be different. With the Pleiadians, I just kept hearing their names, and then I started asking my friends, who are these? And then she's like, hey, here's some books. So I got like a Pleiadian workbook and some other thing. Came to find out they're like they're energy healers. You know how people are tuned to Reiki, stuff like that, it comes out in your hands. Well, they are they can do all this stuff to help you advance, okay? Because they're not bound by the rules of what the angels may be, where the angels you have to keep asking and allowing them to have permission, asking them to come in. Except your guardian angels, they'll work on you what their job is assigned, okay? And then anything else, if you become aware and you start asking them for help, okay? So anyway, back to the Pleiadians. I felt the energy healing from them. It was like this energy, it was very high frequency, okay? It was like something I can't really explain, but it was like very high frequency, okay? It just felt really light, really good, and I could just feel the vibration. Well, they periodically, okay, I connected with them. I started doing some work with them, and then I kind of left it alone because I felt like I was getting too sucked in, and I wanted to keep my main focus the angels. So the Pleiadians, I feel like, are a good race to work with for people. Like, you can connect with them, work with them. They really help people, I think. And if you're somebody that you go all over YouTube and you've heard of like the galactic, like a office in the sky, the galactic forces work together to help people. I feel like they're on that galactic force, like certain races are. And so I feel good about them, but I know they wanted to work with me more deeply than I was ready for at the time. So it was kind of like an introduction, and then sometimes I feel them come in and they work on me, do things for me because their energy feels good. So one way, okay, here's for the people that want to connect with alien races and all that. Always bring in your spirit team, your angels and guides around you, your guardian angels. Ask them to filter it out, okay? So if some alien starts visiting you and you're getting visions, you want to know, is this something that's on the right side or the wrong side, or should I even be messing with this? I'm going to ask my guardian angels. So if you're somebody that you don't know how to work with them and stuff, you could just say, I'm asking my guardian angels. Tell them what's going on, okay? I'm calling in my guardian angels, Archangel Michael. I'm seeing this alien, I'm getting these visions, okay? Please help me clear my mind with light, take this away. And then what you do if you don't want to work with this stuff, you visualize angels holding your hand, you ask them to come and protect you, okay? And that's what you focus on, because if you keep focusing on these aliens, you're going to allow them into your space. It's like think of it like a TV, a radio station. You tune in the more you focus on it, so you want to do the opposite. And they also say pink energy is powerful too. Now, with that being said, I don't feel like all of them are negative and want to hurt people. Some of the stuff where people have felt like they have been probed and worked on, some of it, what I've come to realize is that they were a part of that race, and so they're keeping track of them, working on them, stuff like that. Now, some of the horror story stuff, I don't know what to say about that if you've had a negative experience with aliens. But what I've seen is a lot of them are trying to help. Like, think of it like God was going around, or the angels were, everybody was going, there was a call put out to ask people and beings to come down to help Earth evolve to the next level. So they're parts of them were asked, and then somebody volunteered, and then their alien race, they said, keep tabs on me, please protect me during my time down here. And so that's where the term star seeds came from. So there's all these different varieties of stuff going on, okay? But I always say bring in your guardian angels, because they're with you from birth. They're your main protectors. Bring them to check everything out. Don't just blindly accept stuff, okay? Now, some of this stuff people may think, oh, this is crazy, you're just mentally ill, stuff like that. And some of that I do recommend people to, you want to kind of figure out, okay, is there something happening with me, mentally, and I feel like I'm off? Is it something? So you definitely want to check yourself out, make sure you're okay mentally. Okay, so for me, when I started getting the visions and stuff like that, I thought, okay, am I going crazy? Am I having problems? And then it wasn't until other people saw stuff around me that I knew I wasn't. Okay, so my friends validated it. They were like, okay, I come into your house, Laurie, and I'm seeing this and feeling that around you. And so then I was like, okay, good, I'm not crazy. And then I finally told them what was going on. Okay, let me see. Anything else for the aliens? Yeah, but if you guys have any questions or things like that, let me know. And that's about a wrap for today. Take care.